alright, it makes me feel alright.
Hey guys, Bill here. I'm here today to give you a history lesson on the Chicago Cubs. Now that the Cubs are in the National League Championship Series, well, the bandwagon's getting kind of full. And unfortunately, a lot of the bandwagon numbers have no idea what it's like to be a Cub fan. The Chicago Cubs were founded in 1870. For a bunch of years, they played as the Chicago White Stockings. In 1876, the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Stockings, joined the National League. In 1902, the Chicago Daily News dubbed the team the Cubs. 1907 and 1908, the Cubs were back-to-back World Series champs. Unfortunately, this would be the last time that the Cubs would win the World Series. Now, the Cubs were truly a powerhouse. Back in the early 1900s, the Cubs were in the World Series all the time. They're in the World Series in 1910, 1918, 1929, 1932, 1935, 1938, and in 1945. 1945, the Cubs lost to the Detroit Tigers. Unfortunately, 1945 was also the start of the Billy Goat Curse. That was a car. The Billy Goat Curse put on by a man named Billy Cyanis because the Cubs wouldn't admit him and his goat into the ballpark even though he had a ticket. Well, actually, they were admitted to the ballpark. They kicked him out, even though he had a ticket. So Billy Cyanis walked around the stadium and said, the Cubs will win no more. And you know what? They haven't. 1969, Chicago Cubs, led by a team of 4 Hall of Famers, failed to make the playoffs. Gave up a huge lead in September to the Miracle Mets. 1969 was also the year that Cub fans started hating the Mets. 1984, great Chicago Cubs team. In fact, 1984 was the year I became a fan. You'll remember June 23rd of 1984 when Ryne Sandberg hit 2 home runs off Cardinal closer Bruce Sutter. And if you don't remember, you should. These 2 home runs led Ryne Sandberg to win the MVP that year. It also made it so that Ryne Sandberg is the greatest Cub to have ever lived. Write that down. 1989, the Cubs again made the playoffs. Oh, I should point out, 1984, the Cubs lost the playoffs. In 1989, the Cubs also made the playoffs. This time they lost to the San Francisco Giants and stupid Will Clark. God, I hate Will Clark. The Cubs made the playoffs again in 1998 when there was a tie and they had to play game 163 for the wild card spot. What do they get after winning the wild card? They get swept by the Braves. 2003. Oh, 2003. How you vex me. The Cubs made the playoffs. The Cubs won the National League Division Series. The Cubs made it to Game 6 of the National League Championship Series, beating the Florida Marlins until the 8th inning with 1 out. Mark Pryor serves up a tater. There's another car. Mark Pryor serves up a tater, goes into the left field stands, and is attempted to be caught by a man named Steve Bartman and a bunch of other guys who also tried to catch the ball. Look, people, stop blaming poor Bartman. He didn't do a thing that anybody else wouldn't have done. Moises Alou throws a hissy fit that would rival one that my 6-year-old throws. Alex Gonzalez boots a ball. Yeah, those are the reasons the Cubs lost that game. Then they lost Game 7. Yeah. That was a rough year to be a Cub fan. In 2004, the Cubs were picked to win the World Series. They didn't make the playoffs. People, this is why you can't trust people who tell you that this year, now that the Cubs are in the playoffs, that this year just puts them closer to it. Because guess what? That's what we said in 2003, and it didn't happen in 2004. And those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. So anyone who says, well, this year's just practice, shut up. This year means a lot. It means everything. Okay, I'm sorry. 2007, 2008, the Cubs win their division. You know what they do? They get swept both years in the National League Division Series. 2009, Tom Ricketts and his family buy the Cubs. And they have a couple good years. Until 2011 when they finished the season 20 games under 500. You know the only good thing to come out of the 2011 series? No, it wasn't Dale Swaim. It was Theo Epstein, Jed Hoyer, and Jason McLeod. I guess it was 3 things. 2012, the Cubs lost 101 games. 2013, the Cubs lost 96 games. 2014, the Cubs lost 89 games. You know what you get for 4 years of sucking? You get some really good draft picks. Kyle Schwarber, Chris Bryant, Andrew Kashner, who was flipped for Anthony Rizzo. That's what you get. And in 2015, you get a team that won 97 games. Now, the Cubs this year have won the wild card. They've won the National League Division Series. I'm growing a playoff beard to see what they do now. Folks, this year is important. This year, we're going to be playing the New York Mets. Now, the New York Mets have some really great pitching prospects, but I think I like our chances because I think we can get in their heads. You know, nothing gets in a guy's head than Kyle Schwarber hitting a home run 1,000 jillion miles. I like our chances, but be scared. Don't be the guy who was at the ballpark the other day smiling because the Cubs only had 2 outs to go. No. Be like the guy who was chewing on his fingernails because the Cubs still needed to get 2 more outs and he was confident that they'd lose. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky, people. Celebrate the wins. But until the Cubs win 4 games in the World Series, none of this matters. None of this matters. There's your Cubs history lesson. There's my opinion. Hello, car. Hit us up. Please like this video on YouTube here. Subscribe to the YouTube page. You can find the Pillow Talk podcast at Pillow Talk on Twitter, and you can find me at The Bill Heron if you want a bunch of Cubs tweets. Thanks for watching. Please share this with your friends. Go Cubs, go.